Hi, welcome to another GIMP video. In this video tutorial we're going to be using the GIMP to create a kind of glow effects graphic using different paths and then stroking those paths. So to get started, let's go to File, New, and we'll leave the image size just like it is, 640 by 400, and then under Advanced Options let's just go ahead and put it on white and click OK. You want to open your layers, so do Control L. On our background layer, we need to make it black. So let's change the foreground color to black and then use the paint bucket to fill it in. Once you have that done, go ahead and go up to Layer and do New Layer, or you can do Shift Control N. And we're going to name this first layer Path 1 Yellow. It'll be 640 by 400. You want to make sure that the layer fill type is on transparency. Once you have that, we're going to go ahead and select the path tool. We're going to be using the path tool to draw out our little pattern. Also, you want to go to Windows, Dockable Dialogues, and select Paths. This will open up the Paths dialog, which will be very helpful for us when we draw out our paths. So make sure you have the Paths tool selected, and you're going to draw out your first path. You want something to go from one corner to the next, and then just left click and drag on the middle. Remember, I drew out my path just by left clicking, and then I'm changing the pattern of these just by left clicking and dragging. And you can also use these to kind of help shape your curves in your path, these little like roll handles. Alrighty, after you get a path you want, go to your Paths dialogues and then click on this little box right here. That'll bring up an eye. That means that your path is now visible. So if you like left click off of it onto something else, your path will still be visible. I know that was a big deal for some of y'all earlier. So having this path dialog open and just clicking on that eyeball, that's really going to help you out. Once you have that done, we need to stroke our path. But before we can do that, we need to do two things. Number one, you need to set the color, and number two, you need to set the brush. So let's go set your foreground color to yellow, and then for the brush, let's use the circle brush that's 15, and you just want to make sure scale it's at 1. Sometimes you have to go back and change these tool options. It's always good to check. Once you have the color and the brush set, you go to Edit and you go to Stroke Path, and you want to select Stroke with the Paint tool and hit Stroke. And if it does that, you want to make sure that the path is selected here, and we'll go back and we'll try this again. And it's on fade out, so we'll try it again. Edit, Stroke Path. There we go. Like I was saying, you got to check your tool options. If you accidentally checked fade out or something, it won't do it right. Okay, so this is what we want. Once you have that, you're going to go to Layer and do New Layer, and you're going to name it Path 1 White, and all the properties stay the same, so click OK. What you want to do is you're going to change the color to white, and you're going to change the circle. Let's go ahead, we'll leave it on 15 for the brush, but we'll put it at 0.5, that way it's smaller. So after you have the color and the brush set, you'll go to Edit and do Stroke Path. Make sure it's on Stroke with the Paint tool, and then hit Stroke, and that'll give us a nice white line on the inside. Once you have those two, we're going to apply a filter to them. So select the layer that says Path 1 Yellow. You'll go to Filter, Blur, and then Gaussian Blur. And for horizontal and vertical, you're going to type in 20 pixels. And that gives it a nice blur effect. Select the Path 1 White, go to Filter, Blur, and then go to Gaussian Blur, and change it to 1 pixel. Click OK. And now we have our first stroke. So once you have that first one done, you're basically going to repeat that and do it 2 more times. So you'll have a yellow one and then 2 other colors like green and red or whatever you want to do. So let's do one more and then you can do the last one on your own. We're going to start by creating a new layer, and we'll name it Path 2, and then whichever color you want to do. So I'm going to name it green. All the properties stay the same. You want to go and get your path, make sure your Path 2 green layer is selected, and you're going to draw out your path, and you kind of want to make it intertwine and connect with your first path. Alright, so once you have that, get your paths dialog, click on the visible button here. Okay, you'll change your color to whichever color you want, and then you're going to pick your brush. And I'm just going to make a suggestion here. I've got a glitter brush here, and I'm going to use that. I just want to make sure the scale is at 1 here. Now, if you don't remember how to get brushes, we have them. They're on the 506 in the Gimp brushes folder. What you need to do is take those brushes and copy them and put them here. C drive, program files, Gimp, share, Gimp 2.0, and then the brushes folder. Copy and paste them in here, and then make sure you save your work, and you'll want to restart the Gimp for those brushes to come up. If you don't want to mess with that, just use the round brush. Alright, so we have our color and our brush. You got to make sure that that path is selected, and Path 2, and then whatever color you put is that layer selected. Once you have that, you're going to go to Edit and Stroke Path, and make sure stroke with a paintbrush is selected, and hit stroke, and that'll give it a nice cool pattern. Once you have that, go to Layer, make a new layer. We'll name it Path 2 White for our middle stroke. We're going to change the scale to half the size, 0.5. Change the color to white. Once you have those two things, make sure the Path 2 White is selected, that layer. Go to Edit, Stroke Path, and then hit stroke. If it doesn't do it, what you need to do is make sure that the path is selected. You can do that by left clicking twice on the path, and then try it again. Edit, Stroke Path. There we go, and we can kind of see it. I wonder if I hit fade out again. I'm going to try it again. Edit, Stroke Path, stroke. There we go. We got it. Alright, it's always good knowing why something happens, so that's good. Alright, so once you have that, you're going to apply the filter to each of these two. So we'll start with Path 2 Green. Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. You'll put them at 20 pixels, hit OK. Go to White, Path 2 White, Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and put these at 1 and hit OK. So we have those two done. Basically what you need to do next is create a new layer for your Path 3. It'll be the next color you do, and then Path 3 White. So you'll have 2 more layers that you need to add. Go ahead and do that, and then come back to the video. What we're going to do, you're going to make a new layer, and we'll just name it text here. And you want your foreground color to be on white. And once you have that, use the text tool and we're going to go ahead and label this. So let's just name it Glow Effect by, and then put your name. Okay, and we can see that mine is pretty big, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit the restore down so I can see all my windows at once, and I'm going to select this and I'm going to make my text smaller. I'll put it at like 35, looks good. And I'm going to use my move tool to kind of get it, where I can see it here. What I want to do is on my text layer, I'm going to right click and I'm going to do text to selection, and I'm going to delete my text. Then I'm going to use the gradient tool and I'm going to change the foreground color to yellow, and I'm going to change the background color to green, and I'm going to use one of these gradients, FG to BG, and I'm going to use that on the selection. And I can go ahead and delete this text layer. There we go. Once you have that done, you're going to go to File, Save As, and you're going to put it in the 506. Go to your period, your folder, your graphics, and go ahead and name it gloweffects.jpg and hit save. And once you've done that, you have completed the assignment.